everyone. Back to Cocktails with the Homies. My name is Daniel. Thank you for joining us. Today I'm joined by a really good bartender, a friend, a homie. Early in my career, he's come to bars and we've had great conversations, and luckily enough, and with all the pleasure, we have him here today with us at Cocktails with the Homies. Carlo, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and where you work.
Hi, my name is Carlo. I am the Executive Beverage Director for the Be Saha Group. That involves Wormwood, Tahona, Oculto, and Botanica. We used to have the Guild Hotel, but unfortunately we are no longer involved with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little change, how the industry does?
Yeah, it was a little bit of too much that we could, it was a bite too big that we could chew pretty much.
Yeah. You guys, as a group, Be Saha started pretty hard.
Yeah, we opened really quickly, like after Tahona and Botanica and Wormwood. Yeah, things started moving really, really quickly. Probably too quickly.
Well, taking it back to things that were, times that were much simpler. You obviously didn't start your bartending career here in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how this kind of journey began to finally get you here.
So my journey actually starts a long time ago. I was fortunate enough to have a grandmother that owned a hotel in Rome, the Hotel Tea, and when we moved back from America, my dad is Italian, my mom is American, but when I was 4 years old, they decided to move back to Italy from San Francisco,
that's cool,
where I was born. And my grandma immediately put my dad to work. So my dad was checking in people, my mom was helping out with the rooms, and I was not tall enough to be behind the counter yet, but later when I was more like 7 or 8 years old, I would come after school, and because my parents couldn't pick me up yet, I would wait for them at my grandmother's hotel, and my grandmother would put me to work.
That's right.
She would put me behind the counter, checking in people. I barely knew how to write. Like you can imagine, 8 years old writing. The guy at the desk had to always rewrite the check-ins for me. But I was always the mascot because it's like people like look at this 8 years old behind the counter like, I guess we're in Italy.
Yeah. So hospitality was kind of ingrained from you in the very beginning.
Yes. Now, funny enough, my grandmother's partner, very strong character, he got something stuck in my head really, really early, and I don't know why he was telling me this when I was 8 years old, but he told me, listen, I know you're always going to hear this expression that the customer is always right. It's bullshit. The customer is always wrong. Because it's your house, you dictate the rules, you're the one that sets the environment. And that always stuck with me. It's something that it just never left me. And when I started this industry, it was never something I wanted to start. So what happened was after, of course, all of our teenager years and stuff like that, I was a DJ, producer, and I didn't want to do what my parents were doing. I didn't want to be in hospitality. I didn't want to be in the restaurant because my dad used to own a restaurant in San Francisco as well on Columbus Avenue. Oh. So I kind of just didn't want to follow their path. I wanted to do my own thing. So I decided to move to London to be a sound engineer. And I did all the school there and everything, but because I was too proud to ask for more pocket money because they're already paying for the school and the house and everything, so I had to go and find a job. And what's the easiest job to find in London? Bartending. There's a pub every corner.
The world.
I mean, the world, yes, but
me anywhere.
But London, trust me when I say anybody can get a bartender's job. Like it's really easy at any point. Like there's some pub or somebody that will definitely hire you.
I imagine there's hundreds of pubs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to work for a catering company, so I was flexible around my school.
Cool.
And I just felt something that I never felt before. And meritocracy was something that we don't have in Italy. Like to be in a career and to be praised for what you're doing and to move up in a company, it's something that's not Italian.
Yeah.
You will work for a company for 30 years and the cousin or the brother or the sister is going to come in completely unqualified, is going to take that position that you are supposed to be taking.
Yikes.
So to me to feel that, it was like, oh, this is cool. So parallelly, I was opening a recording studio with one of my colleagues at the school, and I had a quarter-life crisis, and I just realized at some point that I had so much more interest in hospitality and the people connection, like being in front of a computer for 12 hours and having a kid behind you just asking you, like, I need more bass in this track. It was just not for me. So I sold my shares at the studio, and I focused on my career. I was lucky to work for big names like Gordon Ramsay. I was involved with a bar called Barrio Central that then evolved and opened other bars in London. I worked for a place called Casa Negra that was part of the Bottega Negra family, very focused on tequila, very high end. And that's where basically my passion for tequila and agave spirit started. So when I moved to San Diego, that was my main focus. I knew that San Diego is much closer to Mexico, and I could be in Mexico more and know more about the industry and stuff like that. And then I was fortunate enough while I was working at George's to meet this investor that wanted to open a mezcal bar. And at the beginning, it started as a consultancy. And normally when I do consultancies, I don't really take partnership. I basically just give the invoice and call it a day.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You never trust them. You never know how much they can follow the program and stuff like that. Like if they go fold in a year, like
it's a big
I don't
step.
get my money. Yeah,
it's a big step to throw a lot of money into.
In this case, though, I really believed in the project. I felt that there was something needed in San Diego, something really focused. We have Cantina. Cantina is definitely not a competition. We're all one big family. So but we wanted something that was more educational. We wanted something that replicates a little bit more of that Oaxaca feel. So
I love that you bring up Cantina because to me, the mezcal industry just kind of feels different. It feels like when you go there, they're like, sure, we produce the same thing, but try mine. You know what I mean? Like, it's super inclusive.
Completely different industry,
yeah, completely different. And I hope, I mean, money changes everything, obviously, but I hope it really stays like that for a long time to come. Because
me too.
The attitude you have towards them and they have towards everyone else is just it's humbling. You feel like a part of that mezcal family, like you're a part of that group growing it.
Something to be said on that, actually. I don't know if you know Assis Cortez.
Love Assis,
right?
Absolutely. Shout out Assis.
Shout out to Assis.
I love him.
He actually said something really smart last time I was down in Oaxaca. I was having dinner with him. And we always debate about like the future mezcal, how mezcal is like following the steps of tequila, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But he said something that made so much sense. If you look at the producers, if you look at all the small producers, because that's what they are. There's producers, but they're small.
Yeah.
Even the bigger brands, there's no way they can keep up with production if they have to keep it that way. And if they're going to get global and they're going to have to be international, whatever it is, there's no way that little tiny facility can create as much stock for that, right? So if there are other brands out there that are still doing things right, that still has to be done right. I'm not saying you got to cut corners and like not do whatever, but if you still do it right, you're still paying your right people and stuff like that, but you're doing more of a product for the masses, that fills in the gap for the people that don't really understand mezcal. Because let's be real, a lot of people shoot mezcal because it's cool, because they know about the worm, they know about the legends, whatever it is. So they don't really enjoy mezcal. They'll get whatever's in the well, they'll get Vida, El Silencio, whatever they may find. And honestly, why do you want to waste a good mezcal on those people? True. So I was like, actually, that makes more sense. I feel like, let's fill up the clubs, let's fill up all the disco parties with like I don't want to say shitty mezcal, but the more mezcal for the masses. And then so the good mezcal can be appreciated with the people that will really appreciate it.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because it's only going to go bigger. Because it's only going to go global. Because right now, think about it. We're living in a bubble.
True.
Like, no one in America has a selection that we have. We're very lucky. We're very lucky. We're very lucky.
Yeah, and it's super cool to hear him talk about it. Like, he relates it to wine, and it's precious, and it's generational. We've got, in the past podcasts, we've touched on Aziz specifically, too, because this guy is really, he brings a cool perspective of spirits and how they directly integrate with your family, with the fabric of who you are. And it's just a beautiful talk all around. So,
Aziz is the global ambassador for mezcal. When he was a teenager, he would buy himself a ticket and go to any like bar convention or whatever it is and just talk about mezcal and introduce the category. He literally introduced the category to the world. For himself, like not for himself, but for the category. He was not like presenting a brand or trying to sell a bottle. Whatever. He was literally trying to introduce the world to the category.
I felt like he was just talking about his family, and through it, he's just talking about mezcal as well. So it's cool. It's cool to kind of feel that from him because it's deep. It's real. He's not trying to sell you a bottle. He could care less if you buy a bottle, for real. But he would love for you to at least take that shot of mezcal, whichever one it is, right, and let it bloom and let it sit and like get better.
Not shot. We're not supposed to shoot. We all shoot it some once in a while. We all love our M&Ms. If you put it in front of me a Tepestate and you shoot it, I'll say something.
No. He's like, at the very least, you should be taking half an hour to drink that. He's talked about taking hours to drink a shot. You know what I mean? And it's just like, he treats it like wine. You got to let it breathe. You got to let it open. It's going to change from the minute you've opened it and took the first sip to the 20th minute and you take that sip. Right? You're just like the time it took for it to grow. You're tasting all the notes in between. So it's beautiful. But talking from spirits and kind of transitioning more into cocktails, what is kind of your vision now as making cocktails? Because you're no longer a bartender, right? Bartenders don't have to really think about anything else other than how to get the best tasting product that you can provide in your bar, right? Using the things you got around you and the knowledge you've accumulated from then till now. How has that kind of changed for you now, kind of crossing that bridge?
Well, that's a loaded question. So,
Oh, for sure. Fire away.
I believe something in between happened that really disrupted a lot of realities. It's, of course, COVID.
For sure.
But the main elephant in the room is social media. I believe that things, I don't believe, I know so, that things have changed drastically since I started. I professionally started bartending in 2009 when Facebook and Instagram was just starting. I didn't even know if Instagram was even a thing. I kept hearing my bartenders saying hashtag this, hashtag that. I even had a Instagram account. And this idea of me now having to put that in my resume, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
it's no
different.
longer when you're a bar manager or bar owner, whatever you're doing that is in charge of some kind of program, unfortunately, you cannot skip that social media part.
Yeah.
And if for the good and for the bad, I believe that it does help out a lot of small businesses to get themselves out there without spending a lot of money and stuff like that. But what it did at the same time is it created this idea of Startender, this idea of personal branding that is always good. Like I don't say, like, I always get yelled at by our PR director because I don't do enough of that. I don't create more of my personal brand.
Yeah.
But it's not what I believe in. Like, I believe in my product speaks for itself. My hospitality speaks for itself. Like, I know that if I'm consistent with my service and my quality and whatever, that will pay off and that will bring back. And of course,
For sure.
it does. But you can see that a lot of bartenders, unfortunately, go a little bit too much on the other spectrum, and they don't really focus. And this is not just bartenders, even chefs, everybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the same with like the Yelp effect, right? You're cooking for the Yelp review rather than for you.
Exactly. So we look at our Yelp comments, but trust me, like, if I get a bad Yelp from one of my staff and stuff like that, majority of the time I'm on the side of my staff. Like, like, you're no one to be judging and stuff like that. So, like, what's that?
My favorite is when like
Anthony Bourdain. No. Oh, sorry.
restaurant owners hit back on the Yelp.
Unfortunately, I was allowed for a very small period, and they took that power away from me.
I love it though, because like oftentimes they come with receipts.
I forget who it was.
Really?
There was a channel somewhere, I swear to God, that was posting about the best replies of Yelp reviews. Oh my God, the things that I saw in there, the geniuses.
Man,
my God.
It's wild that whole kind of community that's developing, and who we feel like, honestly, I kind of feel like we combat every day.
Yeah.
You know, like what
That's
you're
the thing,
gonna
it's like,
determine this whole experience, and you know, for you, years and years of trying to do and get to this point, all on a fucking Yelp review.
That's what Anthony Bourdain says. That's he says it in the best way. Like, it's you put all this effort in, you put all this thing. They don't know what is the sacrifice has been put in, and this person just comes out of nowhere and has a smirkiest comment whatsoever based on their personal preference.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely terrible. Like, I had this person commenting once. I used to work at Harry's Bar in UTC, and I had this person like commenting on our pasta because it was undercooked. And I was like, it's al dente. Like, it's actually that's how it's supposed to be cooked. And then I go and see on her page and I see what the other restaurants she's going to. And it's all like BLTs and fucking burgers and stuff. And I'm like, you really have the courage to come out and make that comment without having any whatsoever background? Like, this audacity of people is just like, I don't understand how I can do it. But anyway, I feel like we're getting out of track on that.
No. It's, you know, I think this podcast is literally meant to exemplify and just personify what we deal with in our lives, right?
Yep.
Like, I love to hear what people have to say and their perspective on this, like you said, this changing atmosphere of, like, you know, social media never was around in the 80s and the 90s. Like, chefs lived for the column, right? Living for the newspaper and being on page whatever it was that was the food, and like, that's how they were making it. Now you're making it based off thousands of reviews and like people just being able to post it now. And like, I get it, everyone's experience is their own, and you know, I hope they have the best one all the time, but sometimes it's fucking bullshit.
Yep. It's smoke and mirrors. It's literally,
you know, like,
you'll see someone that gets an award for like Michelin star or whatever it is, and then you go and see their pour costs, and you go and see their food costs, and it's like over 50%, and you're like, well, everybody's capable of doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the full package. If you can do all of that and still make the business profitable and make sure that everybody's paid and everybody's like look at after, Like you have all interns in the back. Like at the end of the day, let's be real. Like, you're just doing it for your own image. You're doing it for your own publicity, and that's the next level. That's the other side of the spectrum that unfortunately I feel like it's getting a little toxic in this industry.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, I'm from the other side too, so like I know going to random restaurants and being like, hey, let me work for free, just to be able to go in and with the hope that I can get, you know, an interview with, because like, you know, a lot of people don't go to CIAs and a lot of people don't get 4-year degrees. This industry is like, either you came up from nothing or you started here because you went to school. And like, granted, you know, some people have, you know, other opportunities and that's fine. But yeah, a lot of this industry doesn't come from that, you know. Like
no, and honestly, that's the thing. It's like it's always a school. Like even with bartending specifically, like you know that if somebody came just fresh out of school without no experience, you're never gonna hire him. You need him to break those teeth, and you need him to go through the loops and
get some of that skin.
I mean, yeah, there's no way, and it's gonna be hard for them because it's like now they're here because they went to school, so they expect to work in bars like this.
Yeah.
But honestly, you need to still start here, no matter what school you did. And same thing in the kitchen, honestly. You always see the best chefs and the best people are always the one that started as a dishwasher.
I mean, it's almost like a symbol of pride when you ask a lot of people, like, how did you start? I started from the bottom. You know, like,
you should be proud of that.
You know, because it's true. They went through some shit. They went through some people telling them they weren't good enough, or, you know, you're going to have to work an 18-hour day, get over it, or come in on your day off because that's how it is. And
as long as it's constructive, though, that's the thing, because kitchens can be really toxic in that way. Like, for example, that scene from The Bear. Like when he's in the kitchen, you get the flashbacks when he's in the kitchen and you just get that guy. Like that's the example of that chef. Like that's the one that only cares about his image. He's gonna crush you. He's gonna crush your soul no matter what.
Yeah.
That's stuff that I cannot see anymore. I hope it's a world of the past. I hope we're transitioning out of it. We like keep seeing more and more chefs that are actually really calm and really composed and really respectful, and they can still get the job done. And like that's the example that we need to perceive.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, talking about this fabric of community, and you know, coming together and putting things on that not only puts our city on, but gives it a good connotation in a family. You know, denoting family here. How do you see your bars keeping up with kind of this atmosphere of like getting together as a family rather than, you know, just bringing bartenders in to drink and show off your establishment and then go talk about us on Instagram? You know?
That's the hardest thing. That's always exactly like you can always progress. Sorry.
And to be honest, just a little, you do a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Know, your events here at Oculto and the events such as like in this company in general have been super cool.
Thank you so much.
That's why I asked this question, because, you know, I think you really do try to aim for something more of like family.
Yeah, well, that was when I shifted towards this new position. So when I was running Oculto in Tahona, it was a little bit hard to kind of like work with those expectations, because Oculto is a very small space, so it's really hard to like create events in here. We always try to do that, but like I said, like it's very, very hard. So, and with running a mezcal program, it's very hard to reach out to other branches of the category, if that makes sense. Like if you are running a bar like say Swan Bar, right? Swan Bar is a great platform for exposing every category, rum, tequila, whiskey, because that kind of demographic already comes. When you're working in a mezcal bar, the expectation is mezcal. The expectation is tequila.
Sure.
Like the agave spirits are so that's basically what they're gonna order here. So I was always very blunt, very upfront at the beginning with all the brands and trying to like, hey, there's no point of me like telling I'm gonna do this for you, I'm gonna do that, because I don't want to like trick you or whatever. Like, I want to be upfront, and
good business is good business.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I want to focus on the mezcal. We want to like our mission is to support the producers, small producers in Oaxaca and all over Mexico. So that was my main focus. Once I shifted to this more executive beverage director, I then became a glorified event coordinator. Yeah. Because that was what I knew that I wanted to do. I wanted to work with more brands. I wanted to work with more people and bring everybody together and bring more attention to the community and to the group. But because we had the tools. So now having Botanica, having Wormwood, and at that time Guild as well, like that gave a complete different perspective to what the possibilities were. And we were very fortunate to have the Guild and have the space there, and we try to do as much as events. Seth is really, really good at what he's doing.
Seth is crushing it.
Oh, Seth is really crushing it. I'm really impressed with him. He really took the...
Shout out to the homie.
Shout out to Seth. He's... I told my management, like honestly, like really everybody... Marina Botanica is absolutely unique. Like, there's nothing like Botanica in San Diego. She's doing a fantastic job, and I can't even keep up with her events. Like, I sometimes flyers come up, I'm like, it's just, how many events are you doing? Like, it's crazy.
It seems like every week
she's always busy. I swear to God, she's always busy.
I love it. Especially in that part of town, it's just like booming.
That's North Park. You know what I mean?
That little street. Booming. I love it. I love the bars there. I love the people, and just all along that street. You can start from the top of Adams, and then by the time you're like University and University and 30th, sheesh.
Yep.
You should go home.
No, we're very lucky. We're very lucky for that location. That was funny enough, actually. That location, we found that location at the beginning. We were looking for a location, me and Amar, to open an Amaro bar.
Yeah.
But the space was not working for me, and I had to focus here. It was right after COVID, and there was no way of me leaving Tahona yet. So Mama was lucky enough to be introduced to Marina. Marina took over the program with Gin Bar, and she did a great job. That is absolutely phenomenal. And then so we're very fortunate to bring the community together in that way, especially with Botanica, because Botanica is not only doing it for the industry, but even for the actual community itself. So she does a lot of like little markets for Christmas. She did, so that brings in not just the industry, even the neighborhood, and that's refreshing. Yeah, but let's be real. Like, we all love each other, we all want to support each other, but we all see the same faces every time we go anywhere to our events, right? Sure. So at the end of the day, it's nice to see more people that are exposed to our world, and to see what we do, and to see how much we're contributing to the actual community, and not just our. And I love industry.
She takes that a step forward, and she's a girl's girl. You know, she's trying to put girls on and put girls up, and pick girls up, because this industry is kind of male dominated.
It is, unfortunately.
Some seem to say, but
it is unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's pioneers.
It's intimidating, yeah.
There's pioneers in this place, and I love to see, again, just the effort to kind of.
Oh, we have Daniela in the front there.
Get over that.
Phenomenal. Have you ever got served by Daniela? Her sass covers my sass, and she dominates.
Get it to go box, because there's sass para llevar.
She's the boss. No male can definitely like this. She's absolutely the boss.
I love it.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
So moving forward, kind of, how do you kind of see yourself, expanding in this bar industry? Do you see yourself kind of sticking here with Be Saha, or do you see yourself kind of traveling again and getting the bug? And
that would be. I mean, it's been 5 years of a lot of intense work. So
yeah.
There's never been a real day off. Like, there's always been something. Like, my phone is always ringing and stuff like that. So it's going to be really weird. So this is actually a good opportunity for me to say that I'm actually going to leave the company at the end of April. I'm not allowed yet to announce what is my next step, but it's going to be exciting. Cheers.
Hey.
Thank you.
To new beginnings, to learning more and to being better.
Yeah. I'm very excited for the new journey, and it's going to make me travel more.
Good.
That I can say, but I'm very sad to leave the company. But I've always believed in 5-year cycles. My life has always been something happened in 5 years. I always either left the country, moved to somewhere else, started a new job, whatever. So I feel like this is a good time for me to spread my wings and try something new.
Well, I appreciate the last 5 years that brought you here. You know what I mean? I think you do a great job for this place, this city. Carlo, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Even when I was bartending and getting tidbits of knowledge while you were getting drunk at my bar, like, it's always been taken with a grain of salt, for sure. Definitely with some people more than others. So yeah. Appreciate you, pa. Thank you.
Anytime.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And that is another episode of Cocktails with the Homies.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Cocktails with the Homies.